My love for video games started when I was a kid. They have always been a part of my life. I love playing and sharing my thoughts about them. So I thought it would be cool if I did this in a video format, both documenting my journey and giving my opinions. I hope that you can find games that look interesting to you and you will want to try them out. I really loved Rust's video series and I stole the idea from him, so please check out his videos. In this series I try to avoid spoilers, because the main purpose is to give a short summary, review, and a possible recommendation to the viewer. I hope that you will find something interesting to play in the current sad state of modern gaming. Alright, let's get started. To be honest, I don't spend a lot of time playing video games. I mostly do this only when I need to relax, if I feel kinda burnt out. Also now games don't bring me as joy as it was before. First game of the month is Stardew Valley. I have a feeling that most of you already know this game. It is a really famous game, but if for some reason you haven't played this game yet, I highly recommend it, especially in cooperative mode. I've played this game before and basically just returned to it. For those who don't know, in this game you start as a farmer who has recently moved to a small town. You inherit a farm from your grandfather and you're free to do whatever you want. I wanted to categorize it as a farming game, but the game is really huge and you can do a lot of different activities. Fishing for different kinds of fish, harvesting potatoes, gathering wild plants, exploring mines, fighting monsters, doing quests, building relationships with town people, having a family, making beer, and I just covered like only 30% of the things you actually can do. But what makes this game special is that it is set in a very relaxed pace. It really makes you happier. Everything is rewarding, even the smallest steps. You can't take a wrong path in this game. You are absolutely free to do whatever you want. This game also has a cooperative mode, which is a really nice addition to an already amazing game. However, I personally find the endgame a bit boring, because you already discovered a lot of things and you just simply grind. Also, this game was developed by one person, and this is a really fascinating fact. You can feel the love and soul that the author put into this game. If you've never played Stardew Valley before, I definitely encourage you to play this game, and it would be better if you gather your friends and play cooperatively. It would be one of the best gaming experiences you've ever had. But be aware that this game takes a lot of time, and kind of addictive. Guys, this game really means a lot to me. If you're feeling down, play this game. It really helps and helped me a lot. The next game is Hades. Hades is a roguelite game from Supergiant Games, the creators of Bastion, Transistor and Pyre. Roguelite means that you have a goal, but if you die on your way to it, which is usually just called a run, your death would be permanent and you would have to start over, but you have a system of upgrades that don't reset. So you're usually getting better with each run and trying to beat the game. You play as Zagreus, the son of Hades, and your goal is to escape the underworld. When I started my first run, I was immediately impressed by the cool combat system that feels satisfying and gets you going. It feels very dynamic and fits perfectly into the pace of the game. The next thing which I noticed is a well-paced progression. You become more powerful with almost every run. The story progresses, you do new upgrades, unlock new dialogues. This thing makes the first hours of the game really interesting and somehow pushes you to do a new run after death, because you feel like you were just about to push your limit. The game is unique. Why is it unique? Because there are a lot of enemies that are designed differently. Attack patterns rarely repeat, some of them easier, some harder. You always have to think about how to attack the enemy efficiently, which is hard because the game's speed is really fast. You also have boons, which are mostly variable choices that directly affect your run, making each run unique because it's full of randomness and you always have to keep in mind what you're aiming for. These mechanics are quite common in this genre, and the really unique things are the presence of character development, plot and dialogues. You don't usually see these things in the genre, and they're not just there for the sake of being there. They're interesting, exciting and alive. The game has a story, and with every good run you make, it progresses through dialogues. It's not that it's super interesting, but seeing this in a roguelite game was amazing. There are also a bunch of characters that you can talk to all the time and learn new details about them and the world. As you may have noticed, the game is heavily inspired by ancient Greek mythology, which results in a nice and authentic aesthetic of the game, the design of enemies and locations. They are different and colorful. However, the game becomes more and more boring the closer you get to the end. This is inevitable in the genre, so it's not a big deal. The replayability is good, but I feel the lack of content, which leads to more and more narrow, non-unique runs. Anyway, Hades is definitely one of the best games in its genre, and I definitely recommend you to try it. The last game is Resident Evil 7, also named as Biohazard. The naming is a bit strange and complicated, but whatever. I really like the horror genre and art, and I heard that this game was a good horror game, so I decided to give it a try. This was my first game in the Resident Evil series, which I had heard a lot about, and I had seen a whole big community of loving players build up around it. To be honest, I didn't like Resident Evil 7 after like an hour of playing it, because I've played a lot of horror games and watched a lot of movies before, and I didn't think that this game was unique at all. I immediately thought it was just another mediocre horror game. I saw a huge influence of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Evil Dead. But after playing further, I realized that I was really wrong, and the game is actually quite good. What I like the most is the plot. It's really interesting, intriguing, and original. I don't want to talk too much about it, for the sake of avoiding spoilers, so let's talk about the other part, which is the horror, atmosphere, immersion, the scary part. It's by far one of the scariest horror games I've ever played. If you're looking for a sense of unease, deep immersion while playing at night, then you will love this game. I was looking for that kind of game and I got what I wanted. Also, the game has a great balance between horror and irony. It's just a game after all. But sometimes it wouldn't be funny if you are really scared and then saw a random joke. Personally, I found the boss fights too long and boring. You just have to shoot the bosses with a lot of ammo, and once I ran out of ammo and had to fight for a long time, which was really bad. I also don't like that there is so little inventory space. You have a lot of items spread around the levels, and to collect them all, you have to sort your inventory. This is especially annoying because half of the items in your inventory are necessary to pass the levels, like keys and tools. In conclusion, Resident Evil 7 is a masterpiece that stayed in my heart forever and gave me a lot of emotion for just a short, compared to other games, 8 hours of playthrough. If you're a fan of horrors, then definitely try this game. This isn't only an example of how a survival horror game should look like, but also of horror as an art in general. This was my first video. If you have any questions or want to suggest me a game, leave a comment below. I hope that at least one game got your attention. See you soon.